got the skilled resource of amongst your young people, the potential for achievement becomes substantially limitless. And what are the proposals that I would like to put forward to you? Firstly, it relates to education and skills. It's not just education per se. It's actually shaping an agenda as to what the emerging and developing economy of River States needs. You need to do an audit of what your skills shortages are. What are the kind of programs that need to be delivered here in River States? I've done quite a lot of work with the university I'm Pro-Vice-Chancellor with in Southern Africa. We have campuses in Botswana, Lesotho, Swaziland, and more recently in Sierra Leone. And one of the reasons we were invited into Botswana was that the government there were perplexed as to why so many graduates coming out of the state university couldn't find jobs. And the reality was that they were coming out with degrees in disciplines for which there was no market opportunity. In other words, you have to relate education substantially, not exclusively, but substantially to the economic needs of the country. And therefore you need the programs that the country needs. You need the programs that the state needs. And that's why you need to stand back and say, where are our skills shortages? Where will we be needing in 5-10 years' time the graduates to take forward the infrastructure projects we saw this morning? The very exciting monorail project. Where will be the engineers, the managers to run that system efficiently and to develop it? Secondly, in terms of a suggestion, practical suggestion, I would encourage you to put an emphasis on the creative industries. In the UK, the creative sector has grown twice as fast as the rest of the economy in the last decade. Now, sometimes when we use the expression the creative industries, people think automatically of arts and crafts. But in fact, the creative industries is a much wider concept. In my judgment, not only does it embrace arts and crafts, it straddles fashion, entertainment, advertising, digital technology. That is the whole kaleidoscope of the creative industries. And there's real opportunities to grow in the creative industries, because that is where small industries and small businesses can develop, and it's really small businesses that generate jobs. There's plenty of statistics to show that the vast majority of jobs are created by SMEs, whereas mergers between global giants result in rationalization and invariably a reduction in employment. But with the creative industries, it just won't happen by saying, yes, we want to support the creative industries. To achieve that, based on what has been done in countries like Botswana and Lesotho and other parts of the world, you have to shape your curriculum to encourage in the schools a real desire to be creative and to be innovative. You have to nurture the creative industries by curriculum development. There's also a significant startup challenge, because very often people with creative ideas will potentially lack the skills to be able to run a business. And that's where you need the educational underpinning. And you also need the financial support, because traditional suppliers of finance will probably bulk a little bit at some of the innovative ideas that creative people will come forward with in terms of new business opportunities. But the attraction of focusing on the creative industries is that you've got, in my judgment, a sort of a made-in River State, made-in Nigeria industry. And while globalization is here to stay, and it's a reality, one of the things that is very important is to connect with local people, to be developing your own market. And within Nigeria, because of the population, you have a market within a market. You want to be generating your own goods. You want to have pride in made in Nigeria, made in Rivers State. And I've been very impressed over the years I've been coming to Nigeria with the achievements of the creative side of the Nigerian economy. And more can be done to promote that. So we're talking about an educational audit. We're talking about empowering young people, to giving them the skills reflective of the economic needs of Rivers State. And I think also, and it, again, very apposite given the Women's Forum earlier today, that very often it's in the creative industry field that women can find an additional potential to get to the top. Because the reality is, guys, women are far cleverer than us, they're more creative than us, they better multitask than us. And, you know, we need to harness the potential of the creativity of not only the females, but the males as well.
We have to take it from Professor Cedric's point of view of our security issues, in the sense that having done all that work, we need to really identify with people like myself who come from United Kingdom or other parts of Africa who would be scared of security issues when we hear Nigeria. The first thing we think about is Nigeria is unsafe. And we don't think of people of Port Harcourt. And actually, the best example is Port Harcourt people used to have problems before, and they came out of conflict, and now they are somewhere where they are. Well done, Port Harcourt people, for that. Some of the things that I picked up from the investment that is already occurring in River State, construction of public health centers to all nooks and crannies of the state, construction of Eneka Iguruta Road that leads to the international airport. Fantastic. It means we have roads from the airport to come back and we can invest in Port Harcourt. So investment is already taking place in Port Harcourt. So I think we need to be thinking about food security there. Have we got food in this area? And my sadness is when I think about River State, I think about the oil spillages which is around here. And for that, sometimes I really wonder why this problem has gone on for such a long time. In that sense, I would like to encourage the women especially, because I'm a woman myself. I want us to encourage the youth not to burst pipelines, because when they burst pipelines, it so happens that oil spillages go into the soil and it degrades the area that we can grow crops in. For that reason, I would like many women to talk about this so that the next generation of the youth don't continue with this bad behavior and we see a problem from all corners. Take the challenge, please. The dualization of Rumokuta Road. I was also taken down to dualization of NTA Road. I was taken around to dualization of Ada George, dualization of Ikwere Road, dualization of Olu Obasanjo Road, construction of standardized drainage system. How wonderful. When you have good drainage systems, it means that actually you've got investors coming in, because it means that water sanitization problems are being resolved in your area. And congratulations for that. You need to share this good practice with other Nigerian people from the other states and from the other constituencies. I also want to take reference to what Professor Cedric said, where, you know, he brought the issue about insecurity. So what has the governor states of your place here done? He's brought to an end militancy and sea piracy in River State Seaway. Fantastic. How wonderful that this man has been able, in 8 years period, done all these fantastic things.
Most times, those things that we complain so much about, those things that we criticize so much about, in those things are various opportunities, particularly investment opportunities. I had a discussion with someone some day back, and he complained about traffic. He said the traffic in Port Harcourt is too much, that you can't even move from one point to the other. And I said, that traffic you're talking about is an indication of the commercial viability of the state. And I'll tell you why it is so. Check it. Go to New York. We have traffic in spite of the good road networks. Come to London. We have traffic in spite of the good road network and other sources of transportation. Go to Johannesburg. We have traffic. Come to our Lagos. We have traffic. So come to River State. Then we have traffic. To me, it's an indication of the commercial viability of this state. But if you go to Washington, D.C., you can't even see traffic as much as you see in New York because they do government business only. If you go to Abuja, you can't see traffic as much as you see in Lagos or Port Harcourt. If you want to try, go to Pretoria, you won't find traffic. But in our traffic that we're complaining about lies a major investment opportunity in urban mass transit. And I like to open our eyes onto that. When we had the issue of militancy in this state, you could drive from one end of town, from Borokiri, to anywhere in less than no time. Why? Because the businesses were not there. You won't have any need being on the road. You will not. But shortly after this administration forced the militancy out of the state, you begin to see traffic. It means that those companies that left us were back. And that's why we are seeing traffic. And so you begin to look at those viability that can come even from traffic. And I said that in the traffic congestion that we will record in River State lies an investment opportunity or investment opportunities in urban mass transit system, including rail and water transportation. To me, an investor creates or add value for a premium called return on investment. So if you can come, you create or you add value and take a fee, government is willing to partner with you. Recently, towards the end of last year, the Ministry of Budget and Economic Planning, fortunately the ministry I supervise, went on with an enumeration exercise, and that threw up a couple of figures to us. By the 2006 population census figure, we as a state were on 5.2 million. We have 5.2 million people by that census figure, and the growth rate is about 3.4% for River State. And if you project that, for 2014, we should be on 6.8 million persons in River State. Now that will show you the issue on the housing need. And for us in River State, from that exercise that we conducted, we noticed that available residential houses came to 361,845. And if you take a projection of occupancy rate of 7 persons in a household on the average, you can project and have 974,801 housing need in the state. Now, if you take that off from the number of houses available, we will have a housing deficit of about 612,973. And for us, there's a huge investment in housing. The state government is trying it out with some private investors. The Gulf Estate is one. And we're thinking that with this huge gap, anyone can join the state government in ensuring that we cater for the housing need of the state.
The effort to try to, make River State a more investment-friendly place, has led this administration to try to develop a concept called a one-stop shop. A business premises which you could come as a foreign investor to get licensed, get information, pay your taxes, and do a lot of the things that would enable you start off your business. You shouldn't worry about some of these mundane processes. What you should be focused on is, getting your business up and running. You should be focused on the bottom line. You should focus on things like Am I going to be able to make a profit? Who am I going to hire here? How trustworthy and healthy and skilled are these, citizens that I will find in River State? I have to point out that the watchword, the focus of government's policy towards investment improvement is, if you thought about investing in Africa today, where would you think about investing? Of course, Nigeria would be one of the top locations, or top destinations. But if you thought about investing in Nigeria, where would you think about? We want to make River State the first place that you will think about, that will come to your mind when you, begin to try to conceive your investment activities in Africa.
This is my first time in Nigeria and in River State. I'm originally from Cameroon. I live in Paris, France, and China. We say Africa is poor. No, Africa is not poor. Africa is poor for management. We have to think about Africa. I'm going just to take you one example about China. China was a really poor country, but today, China is now the big country in the world. Every person now is talking just about about China. Why Africa should not take this example? Most of the person talk about the presence of Chinese or China in Africa. Of course, as Vice Chairman of Chamber of Commerce, what I recommend, for me, it's very important to know exactly what is the collaboration between the investor and between our country. If we need investment, it's not because we need investment we should accept anything or we should accept any negotiation. No, we have to think about what we accept from the person who want to invest in Africa. Today, I'm going to tell you that the Chamber of Commerce in Beijing, they create the Federation of Investment China-Africa just to support the investment in Africa. But when they call me to be the vice president, I just let them know the most important for me, if I accept to be vice chairman, is because my dream is to see Africa to be like China, and why more than China? Thank you. So I think that we have this possibility. She just tell you that I was world champion. Yes, in 2006, I was world champion of Kung Fu. But this martial art was created by Chinese. So I have studied there. I believe, I trust myself. I compete with Chinese. I win them also. So what we are doing today is possible for us to be like a Chinese or more than Chinese. We should not accept humiliation to say that, no, we are poor. No, we are not poor. It's a poor management. So today, my dream is to have made in China. All company, all factory who want to come to China to invest, my question is, do you want to go to sell your products, or you want to go to build it in Africa to put made in Africa? It could be in Nigeria, it will be made in Nigeria. Why not? So for me, I think that it's possible. Obama say, yes, we can, but I say, yes, we must. We must develop Africa. We must invest for Africa. We must do it. We must succeed. That is very important for us. Please, we have to think about our generation. Why your son should be proud of you. You was president, you was minister, you was this, you was governor, you was this. What is your country? Where you left your country? Please think about generation. So now, what I say to Chinese, I know Chinese culture because I have studied there. I have stayed in China for 10 years. I know Chinese culture. I know European culture. I know African. I was born in Africa. I was born in Cameroon. So for me, it's very important to know that if we want Africa to be developed, it's our own responsibility. It's not responsibility for European. It's not responsibility for China. No, it's our own responsibility. We have to get up and build Africa. We have to get up and make of Africa. That is the what I need to do.
I will start from the paper presented by Professor Bell, where he dwelt on two critical issues that you need to address if you have to improve your investment climate. And that's the issue of security and stability and the issue of quality of human capital. Drawing on the second issue of quality of human capital, I will look at it from the point of the cradle at the point of birth. Interestingly, the governor took us through two schools today. One was the model primary school, and the second one was the model secondary school. Both schools look astonishingly great. But the key thing I want to emphasize here is that if you want to build an investment climate, if you want to improve your competitiveness to attract investors, you need to build those infrastructure that will appeal to investors. It is not appropriate for you to go cap in hand and go and beg investors to come to your climate. Fund money goes to where it is respected, and it is respected where it earns the highest possible return at the lowest possible risk. And that's what I think the Rivers State government is out to achieve. I saw an array of investors or presumed investors that came from different parts of the country or the world that are looking for investment opportunities in rivers. Well, let's start, like I said, let's start from the cradle. Professor Bell did mention the issue of improving the quality of human capital. And I observed that beyond the few schools that the government is doing, there's a limit to what government can do in terms of building educational facilities. And today, when Gogo was talking, he talked about the Rivers State having a population of 6 million today. Based on the demography of Nigeria's population as of 2006, 25% of Nigerians are below the age of 15 years. That means 25% of Nigerians are within the educational, should be within the educational system. That means with a population of 6 million, Rivers should have 1.5 million students at the minimum. It may be impossible for the government to build infrastructure to support that. So that creates opportunity for private sector investment in the educational system. Lagos is a classical example where those who have invested in private educational institutions are reaping smiling to the banks. And I think given the level of income distribution, the level of income, because if you talk about income distribution in Nigeria, Rivers comes only second to Lagos in terms of per capita income. And it shows that a lot of people who live in Rivers can afford to send their children to good schools. But the critical issues are, you look at what are those sectors beyond the issue of educational institutions, educational materials, facilities that support education. You also look at those things that appeal, that are consumed by the infants. So you look at investment opportunity in the consumer sector, fast-moving consumer goods sector. Rivers present, because they have a huge market, and you have a relatively higher level of income compared to other parts of the country. So you can actually invest in educational system. I'm looking at the investment opportunities, alternative investment opportunities beyond oil, beyond those that invest in oil. Gogo mentioned the issue of transport infrastructure. He also mentioned the issue of housing. And then you look at the issues related. He mentioned the issue of traffic, and I was just sharing with him that the traffic you mentioned presents an opportunity for efficient online payment or online retail companies. In Lagos, you have the likes of a couple of them. In China, you have Alibaba, that's one of the biggest in the world today, who said you can build a strong online retail outlet and have clusters of distribution points at where demands are made. And instead of running around the entire length and breadth of the state, you can take your goods and take your goods to all those locations in the night and distribute from those points as demands occur in the daytime.
In Rivers State experience, what the governor found out was, yes, we're building schools for secondary and primary and secondary schools, but and then you have people who go to university, but there's a gap, a skills gap, which is artisans. You'll be surprised that this structure was built by a foreign company, but it used some of the local artisans. We need to be able to develop that skills that is not necessarily of university level. Hence, we have partnered with the Germans to develop a skills acquisition center somewhere in Old GRA in Port Harcourt here. But beyond that also, the idea is ultimately small and medium enterprises are the job creators, but they did not have the muscle to invest abroad. Either way, they invest locally. Now, for you to create the environment that is conducive, you have to provide them the skilled manpower, but as well as the financing, which also my colleague here has been able to pinpoint. We are about to launch a private equity fund targeted specifically for small and medium enterprises that are out and focused to invest in real estate. So whether you're a Chinese company, an American firm, or British, and you want to invest in real estate, you would have a private equity fund that would match your investments, whether it's in providing equity or debt financing. So it's a very important point to note here.